Zeus, the thunder of dominion, a chronicle of the divine and the doomed prologue. The hollow of creation, before flame touched flesh, before stars sang their first chorus, there was the void, infinite, trembling with potential. From it rose Gaia, the patient earth, and Ouranos, the boundless sky. Their union birthed the Titans, beings vast and ancient, shaped from the first breath of existence. Yet their rule, though strong, was not eternal. Among their children was Cronus, the shrewdest of the Titans, his mind honed like a blade against prophecy. For it was whispered that one of his own blood would overthrow him, just as he had betrayed his father. Fear became his throne, and from that fear came cruelty. Cronus devoured his newborns whole: Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, and Poseidon, each swallowed in a single, trembling moment. Their cries echoed within his immortal gut like the tolling of distant bells. Only Rhea, his weary queen, dared to resist the cycle. She fled to the island of Crete and bore her last child in secret, Zeus, the spark of rebellion incarnate. Swaddled in cloth and hidden in a cave, the infant's first cry did not wail. It thundered. The very sky trembled, and lightning split the clouds. Rhea smiled through tears. "The world will know your name," she whispered, "and the heavens shall bow to it." Part 1. The storm-born child. In the shadowed cradle of Mount Ida, the nymphs Adrastea and Iad raised the child of prophecy. Goats suckled him, and the Curetes, warriors clad in bronze, danced and clashed their shields to drown his divine cries. Even in infancy, Zeus's eyes burned with the gold of dawn and the silver of stormlight. He grew swiftly, for time bent easily around divinity. As a youth, he was restless, watching storms roll across the Aegean, whispering to the clouds as if they were kin. He learned from the rivers how to flow, from the wind how to whisper, from the mountain how to endure. Yet beneath his grace, fury simmered, a storm unborn. When he came of age, Gaia herself came to him, her voice older than the world. "Your father's hunger has consumed the children of Earth. You are the last hope of balance. The Titan's throne must fall." From her, Zeus received a stone carved with ancient runes, a relic of the primordials. With it, he sought Metis, the Titaness of wisdom, who dwelled beyond mortal reach. She looked upon him and saw not a boy, but destiny in human form. "You seek to undo your father," she said, "but you will not do it by strength alone. Cunning must guide the lightning." Metis brewed a potion of cosmic bile and whispered to Zeus how to make Cronus drink. Disguised as a cupbearer, Zeus entered the hall of the Titans, his presence cloaked by divine guile. Cronus, mighty and arrogant, raised the chalice in laughter and drank. A great rumble shook his frame. He clutched his stomach, and from his depths came the children he had swallowed, the gods reborn in blinding light. One by one they fell free, gasping, Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, and Poseidon whole once more. The prophecy had quickened. "Father," said Zeus, his voice like thunder over sea, "the age of Titans ends tonight." Part 2. The War of Heavens. It began as a whisper in the dark and ended as the roar of eternity. The Titans rose from their mountain palaces, each more terrible than storms. Oceanus brought waves higher than Olympus. Coeus wielded the mind of stars. Hyperion's body blazed with solar flame. And Cronus, the devourer, wielded time itself. Each swing of his sickle slicing through ages. The new gods gathered on Mount Olympus, led by Zeus, who raised his arms to the heavens and called upon the storm. Lightning crowned him. "Brothers, sisters," he thundered, "the world shall not be bound by our father's fear. We will forge a new order, one where might is not devouring, but dominion." Poseidon grasped his trident, the sea swirling behind him. Hades drew forth shadows that whispered his name. Hera's eyes gleamed like molten gold. The cosmos itself held its breath. For 10 years, Titanomachy raged. The sky burned and mountains cracked. Rivers turned to steam, and stars fell from their courses. Giants hurled boulders that split continents. Zeus stood at the center. The storm made flesh, hurling bolts of white fire that scorched even divine skin. He freed the Cyclopes from Tartarus, and in gratitude they forged his thunderbolts, weapons of pure chaos, chained by will alone. The Hecaton chairs, the 100-handed ones, hurled mountains like stones. The heavens themselves became a battlefield of light and ruin. Cronus struck, bending time so that Zeus's movements faltered, but the son of prophecy endured. He called upon every storm, every heartbeat of the world, and gathered them into a single devastating bolt, a spear of eternity. "For the children you devoured," Zeus cried, "for the freedom of what must come." The lightning struck, the sickle shattered, Cronus fell. Thunder swallowed the world. Part 3. The dawn of dominion. When the storm cleared, silence reigned. The Titans lay broken, their grandeur reduced to ruin. One by one they were chained and cast into Tartarus, their cries echoing through eternity. Zeus ascended to the throne of Olympus. The mountain glowed with divine fire as the new gods took their seats. Poseidon as lord of seas, Hades as keeper of the underworld, Hera as queen of heaven, and Zeus, now crowned as king of gods and men. But the crown weighed heavier than the sky itself, for power, once tasted, demands to be fed. At first, the reign was just. Zeus shaped order from chaos, commanding storms to bring rain, bidding justice upon the wicked. Mortals, born from the clay of Prometheus, looked upward and saw thunder as both promise and warning. Temples rose in his name, offerings burned beneath the clouds. Yet whispers began to stir of a god whose will could not be questioned, whose fury knew no bounds. Hera watched with growing unease. "You are not your father," she said one night, her voice trembling like a breeze before a gale. "No," Zeus replied, "but the heavens remember who rules them." Lightning flashed across the sky, not in wrath, but in loneliness. Part 4. The fire and the fall of power breeds defiance. It was Prometheus who dared to challenge Zeus first, the Titan who pitied mankind. He stole flame from the heavens and gave it to mortals, igniting their age of creation. Zeus, enraged, thundered across Olympus. "You would arm them with divinity?" he roared. "They will forget who made them crawl." Prometheus met his gaze with the calm of eternal knowledge. Perhaps that is the point. For this, Zeus bound him to a lonely crag upon the Caucasus, his immortal flesh torn each day by the beak of an eagle. Yet even in punishment, Prometheus smiled. The flame of rebellion had been passed down. Soon, mortals began to question the gods themselves. Temples cracked under neglect. Songs once sung to Zeus were whispered instead to their heroes. Humanity was learning to defy the heavens. And from that defiance came love, and with love, chaos. Zeus, god, king, storm, found himself drawn to mortal beauty, to Io, whose tears mirrored the rain, to Europa, whose laughter outshone the dawn, to Semele, who dared to behold him unveiled and was consumed in divine fire. From these unions came new gods, demigods, and tragedies. Heracles, born from strength and suffering. Perseus, the slayer of monsters. Each carried fragments of Zeus's power, yet each also carried his curse, to struggle between godhood and mortality. The Queen of Heaven watched in silence. Hera's vengeance was slow, meticulous. Her storms were not of thunder, but of consequence. Zeus, for all his might, could not escape the chain of his own desires. Part 5. The War of Blood and Oath. The age of mortals swelled. Kingdoms rose under divine gaze. Argos, Thebes, Crete, Sparta. Kings prayed for favor, soldiers for victory, lovers for mercy. Yet Zeus's attention drifted. The echoes of prophecy still lingered, that his reign too would end by one of his own blood. When the Gigantes, born of Gaia's rage at her children's imprisonment, stormed Olympus, the gods trembled. The earth itself rebelled. Giants as tall as mountains tore through the sky, their weapons forged of night and iron. For the first time since the Titan War, Olympus shook. Hera's crown fell. Poseidon's seas churned black, but Zeus, ever the storm, rose above the chaos. His lightning burned the horizon, splitting heaven from earth. He called upon his children, Athena, Apollo, Artemis, and Heracles, to join the fight. The battle that followed was beyond measure. Athena, wise and radiant, struck down Enceladus beneath Sicily. Heracles pierced Alcyoneus with a spear tipped in divine flame. Zeus faced the leader of the giants, Porphyrion, whose strength rivaled the stars themselves. "Your dominion ends, Sky Lord," the giant bellowed. "Then let the sky itself judge," Zeus answered. He unleashed a storm that lasted 9 days and 9 nights. When it cleared, Olympus stood, battered but unbroken. The Gigantes lay buried beneath the earth, their bodies turned to stone. But Gaia's curse did not fade. From her final fury came Typhon, the monster of monsters, a serpent of chaos, wings wide enough to eclipse the sun. Zeus fought him in the skies over Mount Etna, lightning against flame, will against madness. The battle scorched the heavens. In the end, Zeus cast Typhon beneath the mountain, sealing him in molten rock. The world was saved, but Zeus was never the same. He had seen what chaos waited just beyond his rule. Part 6. The Weight of the Crown. In the centuries that followed, Olympus shone with splendor. The gods feasted, the muses sang, and mortals prayed. Yet in the quiet between storms, Zeus grew weary. The thunder no longer thrilled him. The crown had become a chain. He watched his children quarrel. Ares' endless wars, Aphrodite's tangled loves, Apollo's pride. He watched mortals build empires and destroy them again. And he wondered if even gods could escape the decay of time. Once, he descended to the world of men in disguise, walking through their cities as a wanderer. He saw their temples, some crumbling, some gilded, and realized that faith was no longer fire, but embers. He sat by a hearth, where an old man tended the flame. The man did not recognize him. "Why do you still tend this fire?" Zeus asked. "Because it is all that keeps the dark away," the man replied. Zeus stared into the glow. For the first time, he felt the chill of mortality, not for himself, but for all creation. Even storms end. Even gods fade. When he returned to Olympus, the throne felt colder. He could not speak of what he'd seen. Not to Hera, not to Athena. Only the wind answered his silence. Partve, the divine and the doomed, a new whisper arose among the fates, that even gods are bound by thread. Clotho spins, Lachesis measures, Atropos cuts. Zeus had long believed himself beyond such bounds, but the loom had never stopped turning. He saw his children rise and fall, his temples wax and wane, and still the thunder rolled. Humanity no longer trembled at every storm. They had learned to master fire, to conquer sea, to chart stars. In their courage, he saw both defiance and reflection, his own lightning, reborn in mortal hearts. One night atop Olympus, he stood beneath the constellations, the shapes of heroes and beasts immortalized in his own sky. He realized that this was his legacy, not dominion, but story. The myths of Zeus would outlast even Zeus himself. He lifted his hand, and thunder rumbled across eternity, not in wrath, but in remembrance. "Let the world forget my fear," he whispered, "but not my flame." As the dawn rose over the mortal world, Zeus sat upon his throne, the king of kings, the first storm and the last echo. The age of gods waned, but his thunder lingered in every cloud, every spark, every heartbeat that dared defy the dark. Epilogue. The echo of storms, ages past. Mortals no longer called his name in fear, but in memory. Poets sang of his wars, his loves, his judgments. The philosophers questioned his rule. The priests invoked his justice. And though the temples crumbled, lightning still struck the earth with divine precision. For every storm is a reminder that once there was a God who ruled the heavens, who fought for freedom, who burned with the will of creation itself. And sometimes, when thunder rolls over the mountains, a voice seems to whisper through the clouds, proud, defiant, eternal, "I am still here." And so ends the chronicle of the divine and the doomed, the story of Zeus, son of Titans, king of the sky, breaker of chains, and prisoner of his own dominion. The thunder sleeps, but it does not die.